I want to say, before I talk, I want to say two things really. One is what I'm about to say, I'm not saying it to give glory to my past and what I've done in my life. So I'm actually ashamed of what I've done. So I don't want young lads taking the back part of it and thinking, oh, that's great and excellent, because it's not. That's it, that's not two things in one. But my life, I grew up in Peterlee, County Durham. And when I was at school, I had carrot ginger hair. Obviously, I've still got ginger hair and it rules. But yeah, I had ginger hair and I got picked on a lot and bullied. And that does something to your character, as in like wanting to fit in with people. I always felt like I didn't fit in and stuff like that, and I just kept getting picked on. But then I started getting in with the local criminals, the young local criminals, and started burgling houses and pinching cars. And this is when I was probably the age of 10, 11-year-old. I was pinching cars, burgling houses, and became what the police call an opportunist thief. And so I would go out in the morning and just be out on the graft, as we call it, out stealing, and anything we came across, we'd take it. I've even, there's times when we creeped in houses and took people's handbags and stuff like that, and horrible, nasty things really. And basically, what happened is, as I was getting older and this was all going on, I had an uncle who had a reputation for being a fighter, and I loved him. I looked up to him. He was my father figure. He was a local lad, and everyone talked about fighting. And I remember if I was walking down the street and having my chest out, and I'd be like, yeah, I'm my uncle. You know, that kind of mentality. And I just adored him. But carried on getting picked on off certain people. But what I didn't count on is becoming mentally ill. I became mentally unstable. And I just, all my life wanted to be is, all I wanted to be in my life at this moment was someone who was well feared, someone who people feared really. And it led to me, I made a little pact. I remember it when I was younger, that no one was going to bully me, and that one day people were going to fear me more than my uncle, and I thought nothing of it. But as time went on, because of the mental health, I started to walk about with kitchen knives around my waist, and I lost fear. I lost the feeling of fear. You know, so I lost the feeling of getting life off in prison. I didn't care if I went to prison for life. If somebody told me that such and such was hard, instead of becoming fearful of that person, it became a challenge to me. And so it led to me basically just running around trying to get a reputation for myself. Eventually this led to me going to Hartlepool, another area, different state in the northeast of England. And I remember going there having a confrontation with another local handy lad from there. In the middle of the broad daylight, in the middle of the town centre, we brought to a standstill because in the middle of the road he pulled out a hammer, we call them mash hammers, and ran at me and hit me. And as he was doing this, I pulled out an 9-inch kitchen blade and I stabbed him 4 inches through the head. I'm now on the run for attempted murder. While I was on the run for attempted murder, I needed to get money, and so I couldn't get a job. Not that I had one at that time anyway, but I couldn't go on the door or anything because the police would sort of know where they'd be waiting for me if I went to sign on or anything. So I did what criminals do. So I went and taxed a drug dealer, taxing me, and I took a large sum of money off him, and this kept me going while I was on the run. But then I went to another area, Peterlee, in County Durham, and there was another local handy lad, and I walked in a pub because I used to sell ecstasy tablets, and I walked in a pub to give them to somebody, and this other local handy lad pulled me aside. He said he wanted to have a word with me, and sat me down, and he said what he had to say, and I went to explain myself, and I thought, you know what, no? And I remember turning to the side and seeing everyone in the pub just staring at us, like you are now really, silent and just staring. And basically one of the, that was it, and I just thought to myself, if I let him off with this, and if I let him off with it, and the lads walk out who was there, they're all going to go around and say I'm back down. And my life was all about a reputation. And so I made a little thing in my head that I was going to make an example of him. And as I'm thinking I'm going to make an example of him, he said the wrong thing to me. He said, "You want to mess about with the big boys, do you?" And something snapped in my head. And I remember just going forward into his face. I said, "No, no, no." I said, "You just messed about with the big boys. Get outside, because I'm going to kill you." And I don't know if it was his pride or whatever. I went outside and I waited on the top of the pub steps. And I waited for him coming out. He never come out. And I thought he'd back down. But when I went back in, there was loads of local criminals telling him, "Don't go out," basically. "He'll do it." And he didn't believe him. He come to the door, and when the door opened, I waited and I turned around. I had a 9-inch kitchen blade. And I turned around and I stabbed the man straight through his chest, straight through his body. Pulled the knife out and he slumped to the floor. 2 of his friends jumped out, pulled the knives out, and it was like a standoff until someone shouted police, and then everybody ran. I'm now on the run for 2 attempted murder. That wasn't the final charges, but the first arrests were 2 attempted murders. Kidnappings, Section 18s, carrying offensive weapons. I'll cut all that off really, I don't want to keep going on about that. But then I ended up getting arrested and going to prison. And when I went to prison, I vowed that I wasn't going to be an idiot. And then not just among, I was anti-authority at the time. I hated the system and I hated prison officers. Anything to do with the system I hated. Trying to be careful here, I know he's there. Not on his own. I just hated the system and I hated prison officers. And so when I went to prison, I went there with the mentality that no one is going to mug me off. No one's going to make an idiot of me. And so I remember going into the prison and I went into Northampton prison and I just started battling prisoners, inmates all the time, went in the cell, beating them up. And in young offenders, it's like the top dog kind of mentality. And I became the top dog really. I was like running around just beating people up, fighting prison officers. And then I went to the man's jails, common jails. And the prison officer at the time, I was a big lad, I was about 19 stone, I loved my training, I trained a lot, didn't have the belly I've got now. And I just sort of had this mentality to be ready and prepared for a fight at all times. Horrible mentality, because you're always looking over your shoulder, you're always paranoid. And I had a big fear of losing, so that's what kept me training. But I remember the prison officer wouldn't let me go to the gym. And so I pressed my buzzer, and when the prison officer came, we had an argument. I said, "I'm going to kill you." And he thought nothing of it. He went, "Oh, whatever, I've heard it all before." And he probably has. But what he didn't realise is the person in front of him who was saying it was what they call in the criminal world a real deal. If I say something, I will follow through with it. And I just remember going out in association. It's where all the young mates gather together to play pool and do whatever else they're doing. And at the end of the wings, they've got like bars, but they've got a gate on the bars, so like an open, and the officers will sit at the end of the wing on association. So if anything kicks off, they get off the wing as quick as they can and lock the gate. So I got 2 inmates to go and pretend to talk to the officer, and just get them into a conversation. And when it all kicked off, they would have jumped in the middle of the gate, so you had no way to get off the wing or come forward. I went up to another inmate, and I told him to chuck the pool balls at prison officers. And he did. He didn't want to. At first I had a little argument with him. I said, "Just do it." So he picked up the pool balls, he started throwing them at prison officers. The prison officer's response was to try and get off the wing, but obviously it was blocked off, so he pulled his truncheon out and ran forward at the inmate who was chucking the pool balls. I had a massive big coffee jar, glass coffee jar, and while he was running at the prison officer, the inmate, I smashed the bottom of the coffee jar and I ran up to the prison officer and I stabbed him 3 times. And then I ran up to the other prison officer and I stabbed him. I instantly become known as a very high risk, a very dangerous prisoner by now. You would have thought that would have chilled me out, but it didn't. I went to the segregation unit, and while I was in the segregation unit, I decided that I was mentally not right. I just wanted to wage war against the prison system, and I would battle the prison officers every time my cell door opened. This eventually led to me being put on what they call CSC. I'll just give you a little understanding of this. I'm in a maximum security prison. What's got serial killers, terrorists, you name it. The biggest gangsters going in there, and they classed me as being too dangerous and isolated me off from them. This is just to give you an idea of where I was. I'm isolated off in the segregation unit, then isolated off in the segregation. There's no physical contact whatsoever. If they feed you, you put a box on the bottom of the door, they unlock one side, put your food in, lock it, and unlock the other side. If your prison door gets open, there has to be 6 to 7 prison officers who ride shields and ride your helmets on. And that was my life for years and years and years. I hated the system, fought the system, and I still tried to fight them, still battled, had a hatred for everything around me. I blamed the world, I blamed the police, I blamed the police informants, I blamed everybody else but myself. It does get good, this, by the way, so just bear with me. And that was what my life was like, this pure, horrible, violent, just horrible person. But what I didn't tell people when I was living like that, everybody else was seeing me as this strong, big, tough guy. Don't cross him, don't mess with him. But you know, inside my head, I was insecure, weak, scared of the boy. That's what I remember. No one else saw that but me. I had a fear of losing, a fear of this, a fear, just pure fears of everything. And that was my life going on. And eventually I calmed down a little bit and they said, oh, we're going to give you a chance. We're going to put you in a lesser secure prison. And they put me on a ferry and took me to Parkhurst on the Isle of Wight. And I got there and I got involved, I got introduced and involved in selling heroin in the prison. And made lots of money. In fact, in prison it's unbelievable how much drugs are in there, really. I don't know why I'm telling you all that, like, but I'll stop that. But yeah, I'm in prison. I'm in Parkhurst and basically started selling heroin. But while I was doing that, I started getting a bit sensible in my head. So I started thinking to myself, wait there, if I go to jail, if I go to jail, if I keep attacking the officers, I'll never get out. And so I started using my heroin money to do things, to get cells set on fire, and eventually I put a hit on a prison officer for 10 bags of heroin. It turned out to be wrong. But in between all this, while this was happening, there was this crazy, by I thought he was crazy at the time, Christian. And I remember him walking up to me. Can you imagine this? I'm violent, I'm off my head, angry person, full of violence, full of crime. And this madhead comes walking up to me and goes, Jesus loves you. He'll set you free. Like that. Get away, you punk head. You know, I just thought he was nuts. And but he kept coming at me. He kept coming and coming and coming and coming and telling me about Jesus. And again, I just kept thinking, he's off his head. And I remember, this is how mad he is, I remember we were in a prison cell having a meeting about drugs coming into the prison, how it would come and how people would get the drugs. And he come bursting in the cell. Can you imagine? He come bursting in the cell going, Jesus, I'll set you free, believe in Jesus, and all this stuff. I was like, what an absolute... And I jumped up and I kicked him out. And I remember shutting the door and saying to my mate, he is off his head. There's something wrong with him. There's something wrong with me, really, but I thought he was off it. But one day, he kept coming and kept coming. And I didn't listen to anything. All the Jesus stuff, subconsciously something might have stuck in my head. But to me, it went in there and out there. You know, if you don't believe in Jesus, anyone comes with Jesus, they're absolutely nuts. You know. And I just remember one thing he said to me that for the first time made me listen to what he was saying. And it wasn't even a Christian thing, in a way. He come up to me and he talked about Jesus, in there and out there that was. And then he said this to me. He said, I've been in prison, he's a lifer for murder. He said, I've been in prison for years and years and years. I'm never ever getting out again. He pointed to his chest and said, but I'm free. And for the first time, I started listening to him. Because what did he mean? I couldn't understand what he meant. How can you be in prison for the rest of your life and tell me you're free? Because to me at that time, freedom meant you're out of prison, not in prison. So it puzzled me, and it made me go back to myself and think about what he said. What does he mean? How is he free? And then every now and then, he put little why Jesus leaves us to come flying through my door. When I think back, he absolutely hounded me, really, when I think about it. So, houndies, no, I'm only joking. No, he hounded me, you know, he was on my case. And then the prison officers came to my door, loads of them, took a couple of us, and he said, right, segregation. And they put us in an invent. I went back to the seg block, the block or whatever people know it as. And while I was there, I got an image of this Christian, this mad Christian in my head, and this urge telling me to write the letter. And it was that strong. I even remember walking up and down myself, talking out to myself and saying, don't even know. But anyway, after a couple of days, I done my heading, and I wrote a letter. And I wrote a letter saying what I just said to you. I don't know why, but I've got an image of you in my head, this urge telling me to write you a letter. Blah, 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 how you doing? I got it, about 3 days later, I got a 10-page A4 paper, 4 sides, saying, Jesus loves you, let go of your heart, he'll set you free. I thought, oh no, what have I done? You know. But it was somebody to write to, and so I kept writing to them, because I was in the seg. The prison system told me that that's it now. I've had my chance, I have to go back to the maximum security prisons. I went to Long Lartin dispersal prison, maximum security prison. While I was there a couple of weeks, and then my door opened and they said education. And when I went, you've got to know this, in prison, you've got what they call movements. So they'll come and open your cell door, and if you're education, they'll say education, you'll walk to education. At the other end, there's 2 prison officers stood with a form with your name on your name. And if your name's not on the list, they shouldn't let you through. But I went, and my name wasn't on the list, and I made a fuss. Well, I've come all the way over it, and I must have done the red thing. And one of them stepped back and went, go to the chaplaincy down there. And I walked to the chaplaincy, and I went there and walked in the middle of a course. You call it the Alpha course or more now. But how mad is this? That they shouldn't have let me through, but they let me through. And I ended up walking in the middle of an Alpha course where I'd never ever heard before. And in fact, my intention was to run as soon as I got the chance. I remember going in and seeing a circle of lads, and I saw this video of this posh, man, Pele and all this stuff. And I sat down and I waited for it, and I thought, oh no, it's a Christian thing. So I was thinking in my head, as soon as this video finishes, I'm off, I'll go. As soon as the video finished, this little lass, the woman didn't even give me the chance. She just went, what's your name? What should you here? And I said, no, I'll give her my name. She said I shouldn't have been on the list. I said, oh, I'll go then. And just as I went to go, one of the lads went to get free chocolate apples and biscuits. I was like, miss, can you keep your name down, please? And that was the only reason and intention I had to go on this course. I didn't believe in God. In fact, I thought anyone who believed in God were just absolute psychopaths. This is what I believed in my head. I have to be truthful. I thought they were nutters. I even remember I used to get aggressive to people who try and tell me about God. And I would say to them, unless God appears to me like you are in front of me now, I will never believe. So it's a big pinch to me to be here in front of you today telling you about God. And this is what happened. I went there for weeks and weeks and weeks, argued and debated and told them we were wrong, and science proves them wrong. And it's a big. I even used to believe that Christianity was a big conspiracy by the government to make everybody good. Keep them good, tell them they've got to stick to these laws, and everybody will be perfect and that. That's what I used to think. And it come to a Holy Spirit Day where they pray for you. And they did it with me, they prayed and done all that stuff, and I just thought, that happened. All right, yeah, excellent. And then one day, on the same day, the pastor come up to me after we prayed and he said, I've never done this in all the years I've come here. But God is telling me to tell you to come here this afternoon. And again, I was just trying to get out myself. I just wanted to be out myself and get some coffee and stuff. And I went back over in the afternoon and I found the pastor, and he put some chairs, and he said 2 verses out of the Bible. One of them was, nobody is righteous, not one. We all fall short of the glory of God. And the other one was about Jesus dying on the cross, and he explained it, what it meant. And he said, I pray. You can go again. He said to me, pray. I always get upset here because this changed my life. My life changed from this moment. Totally went from one extreme to the other. He said, pray. And I prayed and I said, look, God, if you're real, come into my life. Here's who I am, here's who I'll become. And I stopped praying, and as I stopped praying, I started to feel. I started to feel an energy feeling in my stomach. And it started to raise up and raise up and raise up and raise up. And the feeling got to my chest. And I stopped talking, I didn't know what was going on. And then all of a sudden this feeling shot up my body. And I uncontrollably cried my eyes out. I sobbed and sobbed and sobbed and sobbed and sobbed. Sorry, a bit worse today. And I just cried my eyes out. And I knew, from that moment on, God was real. I just knew. I knew it. And I started running around the room like an absolute loony, like a little person. I just remember I'm known as being down for attacking prison officers. And so they know who you are, they know who to watch out for. They'll get showed pictures of you, watch out for him. You have to know who's... Because if you threaten a prison officer, some people just say it and don't follow through. So they have to know who will. So they know who you are. And I ran in the wing with a Bible. I ran in front of the officers, and they've got to stand in groups in case they get attacked. So I've jumped in front of them, I went, "It's real!" And all of them would jump back, thought it was going to be a fight. And I went, "It's real! It's real!" And one of them went, "What's real?" I went, "Jesus Christ, it's real!" And they all walked off. My mate was eating his dinner, I ran in his cell. I ran in my mate's cell and I was going, "Jesus is coming to life, I swear I'm crying, look, I've been crying, Jesus is real." He jumped up and choked me out. So I became that nut there, do you know what I mean? And I was just, but do you know what, I didn't care. You see, at that time my life was all about this reputation and let's look tough. I feared and had a fear of what everybody else thought of me. And 9 times out of 10, when I didn't want to have a fight with someone, I'd have just fought them for the fear of what other people would have thought of me. That's the truth. And do you know what? I didn't care anymore. I got called Doc off EastEnders. You know, Doc. That was my nickname, or Bible Basher, or whatever. I'd be running around the wings going, "Paragraph 53, thou shalt not." I didn't even know what I was saying. But it made such an impact on the prison system that they held them. They don't normally do this, by the way, but they held a meeting when I became a Christian, and there was a big massive table, and loads of people, loads of different imams and rabbis and all different faith leaders were there. Everybody was there, and they got me in, and they must have all been planning to ask me a question. And they sat around the table, and they said to me, "Do you think you'll come back to prison?" Number one governor at the other end. He said, "Do you think you'll come back to prison?" And that was it. For about 15 minutes, I was like, "Jesus is real. He'll set you free. You've got to believe in Jesus." And afterwards, he went, "Does anyone have any more questions?" I went, "No, you're all right." Went down, and I was just running around like a loony. But then I got out of prison, and now I'm married with 5 beautiful children. And I always get upset here, because the truth is when I changed, God didn't just change my life, He's changed theirs, because they would have been brought amongst violence, they would have been brought amongst domestic violence, they'd have been brought around criminality, drugs. And what would that have done to their heads? As a parent, you can't help but let that bother you, because it scares the living daylights out of you now. Do you know what my kids get now? They get Bible study, they go to church, and they get a chance to have a dad, to love them, like I never had. And that's what my kids have got now. And I'm now going around, I go around all over, I've got prisons, I've been off all over the world. But I'm not yet, because I've got my kids to look after. I've been all over the country, telling people like yourselves about God. And do you know, I've lost my friends, who I grew up with all my life. I've lost them. I've lost half my family, because they don't want to know me now. I'm not there to back them up. I get mocked, laughed at, and still to this very day. In fact, 2 or 3 months ago, I got a death threat on me and my family. So, why would I do this? This is a question I want to ask you. Why would I be stood here today, doing this, losing half my friends, losing half my family, getting death threats and mocked, if it was for nothing? And so my message to you today is, I promise you, I am not lying. When I was in that prison, God came into my life, and that's why I have a heart to come and speak to you today. Because it is a matter of heaven and hell. That's the truth. That one day you are going to pass away, and where do you want to go? And I'm here to try and convince you that God is 100% real. He came into my life and He's changed my life, and He can do it for you too. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Shane. Thanks for being so honest, and that was absolutely amazing. Does anybody have, you're maybe not ready for this, but does anybody have any questions for Shane? Does anybody have anything that they think they'd like to know a wee bit more about, or anything at all?
Anything at all.
Fraser? Sorry, Shane, totally put you on the spot here.
Shane, what would you say to someone who thinks they're not good enough to be a Christian?
Short gospel message here then. That's not true, and if it was true then I wouldn't be here and nobody else would be hearing it as well, because what the Bible really preaches is not what you normally hear when you're not part of the church. What the Bible really preaches is this, that we're all sinners and we all deserve to go to hell. That's the truth. But God loved us so much in the Bible, it's called good news. Jesus is actually called good news. He gives you the good news because even though you don't deserve God, even though some of us make mistakes, you just need to look at our own lives to know that we've made mistakes, all of us, even as kids. But God sent Jesus Christ down to die, and this is what it says, that whoever believes in Him will not perish but have everlasting life. Not whoever's going to be absolutely perfect and become like Him, because it's impossible for human beings to do. But what God is telling you that if you believe in Jesus and try and follow Him, you're forgiven, and that's it, so it doesn't matter what you've done.